Before it became a symbol of cinematic chaos, it was just a forgotten hunk of Australian steel, rusted, unwanted, and almost scrapped for parts. Yet somehow, that same machine would roar its way into Hollywood immortality. The V8 Interceptor from Mad Max wasn't born in luxury garages or billion-dollar studios. It came from dust, desperation, and pure madness. But here's where things get strange. Its terrifying supercharger? Completely fake. That iconic growl that sounds like a jet engine, fabricated in a sound booth. And believe it or not, the most famous apocalypse car in history was almost left to rot behind a junkyard fence in Melbourne. So what dark story hides beneath that matte black armor? Why did the film crew lie about its power? And how did a low-budget Australian muscle car come to define an entire genre of cinematic rebellion? Buckle up, because today we're diving straight into the wasteland to uncover 20 weird, untold truths about Max's 1973 V8 Interceptor that Hollywood never wanted you to know. Number 20, the Great Misunderstanding. For decades, many viewers swore that Max's car was an American Mustang. Its sharp nose, muscular stance, and violent roar all screamed Detroit, but they were dead wrong. The legendary Interceptor began life as a 1973 Ford Falcon XB GT hardtop, a car sold exclusively in Australia. Only about 4,000 were ever built, and none ever crossed the Pacific. It wasn't a product of Hollywood muscle. It was the pride of the Aussie outback. Ironically, some American fans still debate this online. One even wrote, "No one ever thought it was a Mustang." That frustration alone proves how iconic its disguise became. The film transformed an Australian family car into a nightmare on wheels, fooling the entire world into thinking it came from Ford's American stable. Number 19, the Aussie bloodline. Under that hood beats a true blue Australian heart. Ford Australia didn't import engines from the US. They built their own Cleveland V8s right in Geelong. A fan once corrected a YouTuber. By 1971, Ford Australia was building its own Cleveland engines, and they were beasts. The 351 cubic inch V8 that powered Max's Interceptor could churn out over 300 horsepower. It wasn't about polished performance. It was raw, mechanical violence. The Interceptor's growl came from that homegrown block of iron tuned for survival more than speed. In the wasteland of Mad Max, it wasn't a symbol of perfection. It was a heartbeat forged in steel and dust. Number 18, a muscle car born from a family sedan. Ironically, the Interceptor's DNA came from a family car. The Falcon platform was Ford Australia's full-size sedan, the kind your dad might have driven to work. The film's production team simply stripped it, modified it, and unleashed its darker side. Think about it. The apocalypse's most feared machine started life as a commuter vehicle. That's like turning a minivan into a tank. This irony made the car even more powerful as a metaphor. Civilization's last remnant twisted into its own destruction. Number 17, Catalog Nose Custom Legend. That mean, pointed front end wasn't handcrafted by Hollywood designers. It came from a mail-order catalog. The fiberglass nose was made by an aftermarket company called Arcadapane. The crew just bought it, fitted it, painted it black, and history was made. The Arcapane kit was originally for street racers wanting a Batmobile look, but once it hit the screen, it transformed. Under Miller's lens, that fiberglass cone became the mechanical snarl of the apocalypse. Today, original Arcadapane kits sell for thousands. It's proof that sometimes legends are built from catalogs, not blueprints. Number 16, the supercharger lie. That monstrous chrome blower bursting through the hood looked ready to inhale anything in its path. But here's the shocking truth. It was completely fake. The supercharger wasn't connected to the engine at all. Instead, the crew used a hidden electric motor underneath, spinning the belt whenever the camera rolled. The budget was too small for real forced induction, so they did what Australian mechanics do best: improvise. They created an illusion so convincing that even die-hard car fans believed it. In reality, it was more of a stage prop than a mechanical marvel. One fan once joked, "It's basically a giant chrome fidget spinner bolted to the hood." He wasn't wrong. Number 15, the switch that fooled the world. Remember the moment Max flips that mysterious switch and the car suddenly screams to life? Audiences thought they were witnessing pure mechanical rage being unleashed. But that dashboard switch didn't control a real supercharger. It controlled nothing. In real life, a root-style blower can't be turned on or off like a light switch. It's always spinning, always feeding air. The movie turned physics into theater. That single shot of Max pressing the toggle became cinematic gold. Games like Twisted Metal and Need for Speed copied it for decades. decades. Real engineers laughed, but filmmakers smiled, because they'd created a myth stronger than mechanics. Number 14, the Silent Beast. You think you're hearing a thunderous V8 ripping through the desert? Think again. Almost none of the engine sound in Mad Max was real. The film's audio team mixed layers of jet turbines, industrial fans, and real drag cars to craft the Interceptor's roar. In reality, the car's naturally aspirated engine sounded strong but not terrifying. So the sound crew built a new monster from scratch. They turned a simple exhaust note into a cinematic voice. The howl of a wounded animal running from the end of the world. Ironically, that fake sound is now one of the most recognizable in movie history. Number 13, the dummy pipes and hidden armor. Those intimidating side pipes, 8 chrome barrels jutting from each side, looked lethal, but they were mostly decorative. The actual exhaust system ran underneath the car like normal. The side pipes were automotive jewelry, as one builder called them, but they weren't useless. During stunts, when the Interceptor scraped walls or collided with other cars, those fake pipes acted as shields, absorbing damage instead of the fragile body panels. What looked like style was actually survival. In the wasteland, even decoration had a purpose. Number 12, built on scraps and sweat. The Mad Max production had a budget smaller than most modern car commercials, only $350,000 Australian dollars to create an entire apocalyptic world, including Max's now legendary ride. The team scavenged parts from wrecking yards, hand-fabricated panels, and reused whatever they could find. The Interceptor cost around $20,000 to build, assembled in dusty garages by mechanics who worked for next to nothing. The front spoiler was hand-cut aluminum, the roll cage bent from ordinary tubing. Every inch of it screamed homemade, but from that poverty came authenticity. The car looked dangerous because it was dangerous, rough, raw, and barely held together. In a world of studio perfection, this was chaos made real. Number 11, the biker army behind the scenes. The film's realism came from desperation and a little insanity. Many of the biker gang extras weren't actors at all. They were real bikers from local clubs around Melbourne, paid in meals, beer, and bragging rights. They brought their own motorcycles and rode them like maniacs. A fan recalled, the production actually hired real bickies from Canberra. They didn't need stunt training. They lived that life. That authenticity gave Mad Max its chaotic edge. These weren't stuntmen pretending to be wild. They were wild, and when the Interceptor tore through their ranks on screen, the danger you saw wasn't fake. It was real dust, real noise, and real madness. Number 10, the bribe on wheels. In the movie's story, the Interceptor isn't just a car, it's a trap. The police brass dangle it in front of Max like a shiny lure to keep him from quitting. They don't offer him money or rank, just horsepower. In a dying world, that meant power, freedom, control. The moment when Fifi unveils the car feels ceremonial, almost sacred. It's not a gift, it's a test. They're saying, you can have this monster if you stay one of us. That psychological layer makes the Interceptor more than metal. It's Max's soul, chained to duty. When he finally loses it, it's like watching him lose himself. Number 9, one car, 2 lives. When the Road Warrior began filming, the crew faced a problem. They needed to destroy the Interceptor, but they also needed it alive for close-ups. The solution? Build another one. The original hero car returned, beaten and scarred, while a second Interceptor was built for the crashes. The stunt twin met its brutal fate in that unforgettable rollover scene, but even that car wasn't gone forever. It was later salvaged, repaired, and restored by fans who refused to let it die. Today, both versions, the hero and the resurrected stunt car, survive as museum pieces. 2 machines sharing one soul, each telling half the legend of the last V8 Interceptor. Number 8, almost lost forever. Between Mad Max and the Road Warrior, the original Interceptor nearly vanished forever. After the first movie wrapped, it was battered, dirty, and forgotten. For a while, it sat abandoned behind a storage shed, half stripped for parts, half rusted by time. One mechanic even suggested scrapping it. Nobody's gonna need that old thing again, he reportedly said, but Destiny had other plans. When Mad Max became a surprise global hit, George Miller sent his crew searching. They found the car barely holding together, dented, cracked, but still alive. They repaired just enough to make it believable as a survivor of the wasteland. Every scratch you see in the Road Warrior is real, every dent a scar from the car's resurrection. Number 7, a museum nomad. After filming ended, the Interceptor didn't retire quietly. It became a world traveler. From Australia, it was shipped to England and displayed at the Cars of the Stars Museum alongside Bond's Aston Martin and the Batmobile. Fans came from around the world just to stand before its black armor. Later, it moved to the US, shown in private collections and exhibitions. Curators treated it like fine art, climate-controlled rooms, polished floors, velvet ropes. Every scratch and patch of faded paint was documented like a historical artifact. The car that once symbolized chaos now lived in silence, preserved, revered, and untouchable. Number 6, the voice of extinction. Last of the V8 Interceptors. 7 words that turned an obscure Australian car into a global myth. That line, delivered with cold reverence by Fifi, hit deeper than anyone expected. It wasn't just dialogue, it was prophecy. George Miller wrote it during the 1970s oil crisis, when the world thought powerful V8 engines were dying. In Max's universe, that extinction had already happened. The Interceptor wasn't just fast, it was the last heartbeat of a dead civilization. Fans quote the line like scripture. Even car enthusiasts outside the film world use it when talking about classic muscle machines fading into history. Ironically, Ford Australia kept building V8 Falcons until 2016, as if reality refused to let the prophecy come true. Number 5, Black on Black, the Pursuit Special. Few fans know its official name wasn't V8 Interceptor. It was the Pursuit Special. That title came from the in-film police unit, the Main Force Patrol. Underneath the matte black paint and post-apocalyptic grime, the car still wore its original GT Falcon DNA. Some badges, wheels, and flares were straight from the factory. One fan proudly wrote online, "The car's actual name is the Pursuit Special." He's right, it's the perfect name. Simple, menacing, and prophetic. The word pursuit defined both Max's duty and his curse. Once he lost everything, that pursuit turned inward. The car and the man became one, both beautiful, broken, and endlessly chasing ghosts. Number 4, Replica Revolution. The apocalypse didn't end, it multiplied. From Australia to Japan, Germany to Texas, fans began building their own interceptors. Some were perfect replicas with genuine Falcon bodies and real superchargers. Others were artistic interpretations welded together from spare parts. In Japan, entire car clubs dedicate themselves to recreating the Pursuit Special. Builders spend years hunting authentic Falcon shells, importing them at impossible cost. One Australian fan proudly wrote, "Look how many replicas have been built. It shows how iconic this car is." And he's right. Every matte black tribute is a love letter to George Miller's madness. Some replicas even sound more terrifying than the original. In a strange twist, fiction inspired reality. And now reality keeps the legend alive. Number 3, Fury Road Resurrection. When Mad Max Fury Road roared onto screens in 2015, the Interceptor was reborn, but not one, many. The production built several versions for different stunts, pristine police models, stripped-down war machines, even 4WD conversions for desert chases. The opening sequence shows the Interceptor in all its glory before it's stolen and transformed by the war boys. It's both a rebirth and an autopsy. The car reborn only to die again. Each version carried modern safety cages, reinforced frames, and hidden hydraulic systems. Yet despite the upgrades, Miller insisted it look as crude and dangerous as the original. The result? A bridge between eras. The car of the past met the fury of the present, and both survived. Number 2, right-hand drive pride. Most American audiences never noticed, but the Interceptor was right-hand drive, and it stayed that way through every movie. George Miller refused to flip it for Hollywood. To him, it wasn't just a steering wheel, it was a symbol of identity. Keeping the driver's seat on the right side reminded viewers that Mad Max wasn't a Hollywood fantasy, it was Australian through and through. That stubborn authenticity caused headaches for the crew when filming overseas, especially for stunt drivers on left-side roads. But Miller never compromised. The Interceptor's orientation became part of its character, unyielding, proud, and slightly defiant, just like Max himself. Number 1, The Beautiful Lie. Here it is, the strangest, most poetic truth of all. The Interceptor's legendary sound, the howl that defined the apocalypse, was never real. The supercharger whine, the thunderous revs, even the idle growl, all were created in post-production. Sound designers layered recordings of dragsters, jet engines, and industrial machines to give the car its demonic voice. The real engine was loud, but human. The movie version was mythic. That beautiful lie turned a prop into a god. Today, replica builders install hidden speakers just to recreate that sound, chasing a ghost that never truly existed. And maybe that's the point. The Interceptor's greatest truth was always its illusion. In a world built from wreckage and dreams, maybe the most powerful thing Hollywood ever built was a lie we wanted to believe. Before we reach the final roar of the wasteland, if you've made it this far, you're one of us, a true road warrior. So hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments which fact blew your mind the most. Because what began as a $20,000 garage build became one of the most influential movie cars in history. The 1973 V8 Interceptor wasn't just a machine, it was the beating heart of Mad Max, the pulse of a dying world that refused to stop. It embodied everything raw, rebellious, and real about filmmaking. Built on scraps, driven by madness, and reborn through myth. And when you strip away the chrome, the noise, and the dust, you realize something deeper. The Interceptor's story is our story. It's about survival, resilience, and the human obsession with power and freedom. In the end, the car didn't just survive the apocalypse, it defined it. It wasn't built for eternity, yet somehow it outlived its world. Because legends don't die, they keep driving.